Today I'm chatting with Nima Yassini, CEO and founder of one of our partners, Australian-based New Republic. New Republic is an award-winning optimization agency specializing in UX, experimentation and personalization. Nima has been working with Webtrends Optimize on and off for over a decade, and what he doesn't know about CRO and building exceptional online experiences just isn't worth knowing. Nima, you've been the CEO of New Republic for a little over 10 years, and during that time you must have had your fair share of challenges and successes. What stands out as being memorable?
The whole thing. I think the most memorable part for us has been the decision to pivot the business out of full service and really focus on being great at one thing. I think that was one of the major ones, and then the other one was I don't think I understood the value of um, a mission statement for a business until we had to make that pivot. And I remember I had a mission statement that I showed a mentor at the time who laughed at me and said, "That's like boiling oceans." I was quite embarrassed. So I hit
Yes.
it. And then we went through a bit of a disastrous moment in our business. And we didn't know if we were going to be around or not. And and that's when we decided to pivot and really focus. And we had to make some cuts, and I was clearing out the desk because we stopped being full service. I was clearing out a whole bunch of paperwork, and I found our mission statement. And I thought to myself, if this is the end, because I didn't know which way it was going to go, I'm going to go down on my feet. And I stuck our mission statement, big print, paid like $150 to a buddy of mine, printed on some Laminex and stuck it on a wall. And it's amazing. Ever since I did that, and every time we had to make a decision, I stuck to that mission statement. Things just started to really catapult and grow. So I think that was probably the second pinnacle point in the business. And I think overarching all this, if I can actually create a brand new number one, was my business partner joining me. And I think when my business partner came in, she then said, "Let's focus the business," and then everything else started to really go off that. So I think they're the three top moments in the journey of this business.
You say you moved out of full service, and that kind of helped focus the business into doing one thing really, really well, or maybe
Mm.
a couple of things really, really well. What was the kind of difference in the business as it was versus the business that it became under this new focus?
Focusing on being exceptional at one thing really helped make decision making a lot easier. It really helped to always navigate us. So every time we were about to stray off, it bring us back. And I realized, customers out there as well, they really don't want a generalist. They need a specialist. The challenge is managing a bunch of specialists for them, which is why they go to a generalist. And if you look at a lot of companies, they say they do a lot of stuff, but they probably do one or two things really well. So we just cut to the chase and said what we're going to do really well. So I think I don't know if I've answered the question correctly, but I think he just gave us a really good North Star to focus on.
You're right. There does seem to be a lot of generalists that are out there that says we can do everything.
Correct.
And, it's that adage that, a jack of all trades and a master of none. And I
Yeah.
think there are times when people do actually want the specialism that you are delivering, because it does actually focus in on a particular area in their business that they need expertise on,
Yeah.
rather than just saying, oh, we just need a marketing agency or whatever it might be.
Mm. Yeah. Great.
You must have seen many changes in the way companies utilize their websites over those last 10 years.
Hmm.
And I would say in particular, UX and CRO has come to the forefront. How would you summarize the evolution? And more recently, how has COVID, if it has, changed things?
So I think a lot of I don't think COVID's changed anything. I think COVID's accelerated or magnified the need. So I think what COVID's done is put a spotlight on how far behind some brands were, or how ahead some other brands were. So I know locally in Australia, The auto brands have all realized how mission critical the website is because there is no showrooms. They've got a whole bunch of sales staff that they can't utilize. So they're all talking about how do we bring chat into our website experience? How do we mobilize our sales team to use them as virtual salespeople? So I think COVID's accelerated and magnified the requirement. If you ask me, in the last 10 years, it's pretty much stayed the same. It's just the maturity of the organizations and how they see the medium has matured, and the importance of that medium at the boardroom table has matured. But the actual medium itself is pretty much the same, just with more features, more function, and a lot more richer experience. Does that answer the experience? Does that answer the question, John?
Yeah, I think it does. But if I can extend that a little bit, has
Mm.
technology changed in that period of time, which has helped change it, or do you just
Yeah.
saying actually we're doing what we were doing? It's just more people want to do it.
Well, I mean, look, there's no doubt technology's changed, so don't want to take that away. But to be really honest, if you the technology is pretty much the same. Like your technology is probably one of the oldest technology. You guys have been doing this for a long time. It's just
Hmm.
more people have become aware of it recently than back in 10 years ago. I remember we were using your tool back when I was in London. Would have been easily 10, 11 years ago. So like the technology's been out there. It's the practices that are maturing and the people that are learning how to use these technologies better. There's no doubt that technologies have evolved and you can do more things, but Adobe is still Adobe. Content management systems are content management systems. Experimentation tools are experimentation tools. The tools have gotten better. There's no doubt features and so forth, but I think the practice and the desire for people has driven the technology. So I think the customer or the marketers have become much more mature and much more aware of different solutions out there, and hence that's driven the technology growth.
And does that maturity mean that people are more willing to listen to expertise, or do you think that they're getting the point where they say, actually, I know as much as you know, so therefore, I
Yeah.
don't take your advice quite so easily?
So I think the fundamental relationship between client and agency or consultancy has always been semi-broken, because in this space, digital between client and agency or consultancy is really built on the premise of I know more than you. So it's this competition of who knows more. And so client go, oh, you know more than me, so I'm going to hire you to help me because you know more and you can help us, right? And that's okay. And I think the specialization actually does help, because everyone's somewhat today they're a bit of a generalist. They know a little bit of everything, which helps a lot of marketing managers in the work they need to do. But they then hone in on a specialist to come in and extend what they can do. So I think when we talk about maturity, I think when it comes to experimentation, the market at different levels it's mature. And the problem with maturity, we did a maturity index some time about a year ago, and we're doing it again this year. The thing that we found with the issue with maturity is very self-reflective in the experimentation medium, because it's not one of those things like SEM where everyone knows, search engine marketing or being on Google, and there's no indexes and so forth. Everyone is very much, they go, well, I run 5 experiments, so therefore we've got a very mature experimentation program. But like when you actually when because we're in this luxury of being able to work with different companies, you realize like maturity is really self-reflective. You think you're mature, therefore you are. It doesn't mean you are. You might be great at A/B testing, but once you go into other forms of experimentation, you fall over yourself. So I found like when it comes to maturity, it's such a broken. The category is so young that it's so hard to find truly mature companies. That's why, if you look at this space, we all talk about booking.com. Why? Because booking.com is the extreme of experimentation. So therefore we say that's maturity, but it doesn't mean that's the most mature. It's just that's the most successful.
You're listening to the shortened version of this podcast. To listen to the full version, visit your favourite podcast player and search for Webtrends Optimize or The Big Lift.